The 2025 Portland housing market is just behind us, but today we're going to look forward to 2026 and go over what to expect if you're looking to move to the Portland area and purchase a home. Now, of course, to see where we're going, we have to see where we came from. So in today's video, we're going to go over everything you need to know if you're looking at 2026 as your year to make Portland your home. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, I am Tim Jackson. I'm an Oregon and Washington real estate agent serving the Portland and Vancouver marketplace. I've got a ton of 5-star reviews right here, and I make videos like this all the time to show you what it's like to live in the greater Portland area. Now, there has been a ton of different opinions and voices about what is going on in Portland, Oregon right now. But to cut through all of the chatter, today we're talking specifically about the housing market in Portland and where it's going. Now, to go back to the future and looking at where Portland has come from, I can tell you that the Portland housing market was a lot hotter just 3 or 4 years ago. We came off of a decades-long cycle of being seen as the premier Pacific Northwest city. Now, when it comes to housing and the burning hot market that we were in, you can see that local inventory has actually started to increase. We have seen the most inventory yet since 2019. And there's actually a lot of different reasons that are showing that we're returning to a 2019 market where Portland was a lot more balanced. Not only does this inventory show you a steady increase in the available supply of homes, but another important thing to note is that the 2022 prices, where they were coming up, and then it went off of a small, not a large roller coaster drop, but it went like this, and now we're in the wavy part of the roller coaster. What's important to note about that is that Portland has returned to a seasonal market. Whereas for a few years, we were pushing right through the winter season and continuing to climb despite the month, we've returned to a seasonal market where the spring and summer months typically bring a seller a little bit more cash, whereas the winter and late fall time frame have become a much better seasonal market to make a purchase in. Now, let's talk about some of the red flags in this real estate market and some signs that things are about to heat up. We're first going to review 3 different red flags, and then we'll go over 3 green flags. I will say that similar to when a tornado hits somewhere in the Midwest, you get the cold and the hot wind kind of colliding and creating a little bit of a storm. Portland has seen that within its housing market. So to first review some of the red flags that have affected the Portland housing market as of recent, talking about residential real estate only, foreclosures have started to tick up slightly. Now, looking at this chart right here, it's important to note that while we are returning to the 2019 numbers, you're going to see a lot of different themes in this video that we're kind of returning to a 2019 market. It's not an indication that foreclosures have rapidly spiked like we did during the Great Depression. A lot of home sellers that I work with in this market have a lot of equity baked in, so that we're not really having a funeral for the Portland housing market. Even though some people have decided, without actually citing any statistics, that the Portland housing market is already dead. Rest in peace. Now, it is true that short sales have increased. Just today, I signed for my second short sale of the year, where a buyer that had bought a home with another real estate agent a couple years ago just didn't get the guidance and went into a home without a whole lot of knowledge about what it took to upkeep a property. So because the market hasn't corrected in the way that it did in the 2008-2009 housing market, we're not seeing quite that amount of turmoil as we did just over 15 years ago. And I don't say this impersonally, like obviously real estate is a very personal thing, and some real estate agents will kind of trick you into thinking that it's always rainbows, butterflies, and sunshine. But at the end of the day, my job is to guide you into a home on your terms and conditions. I lost my family home in 2011 because my dad just made some poor financial choices, and he ended up losing a home that we had lived in for over a decade. So saying goodbye to those memories and all of that by giving it back to the bank is never a great feeling for anybody. It's part of the reason that I crafted this entire guide to help people correctly make the purchase in the Portland market. I field phone calls days, nights, and weekends about what it's like to move here. I spent a lot of time thinking about the process of what it would take for somebody relocating to Portland or Vancouver, and go over the step-by-step process with them of what the best guide would be to put in their hands and say, let's go out and get you a home together. Which gets into our second red flag that you should be tracking if you're looking to make a move to Portland, Oregon, which is our average market time of homes sitting on the market. You should notice that while during the summer months, it swings down to about 60 days time on market, during these winter months, we're seeing 90 to 100 days where sellers are sitting on the market just waiting for the right offer to come in. And if you don't see the red flag of people waiting around for the right buyer to come with, sometimes you're not going to sense that the seller's not actually motivated. One of the things I look for as a real estate agent is if the seller is actually motivated to meet the market where it's truly at. That is, getting a reasonable offer from the buyer where the buyer is negotiating for everything within a fair and even battlefield, but really coming at them and asking for things like closing costs, negotiating the price, and making sure that when inspections are done, the seller is addressing a lot of the major or even minor concerns that come up in that inspection report. This is no longer a market where you're just passing over inspection reports or not getting tough and rolling up your sleeves when it comes to purchasing the home. In this market, you definitely want to make sure you're watching out for yourself and not just going out and offering whatever the seller has the home listed for if they're in one of these cooler markets. We're definitely in a hot and cold market where certain neighborhoods in the Portland area are just not quite seeing the attention that they used to, and this even applies to the suburbs of Portland. The suburbs were red hot, and things have cooled down enough that people are getting major deals all over the major Portland metro, including Vancouver. And our third and final red flag is just the cost of insurance and the interest rates coming up. These are both cold headwinds that have hit buyers' pockets, and so it has made them a lot pickier when it comes to purchasing their home of their choice. Nationwide, insurance is 9.7% of somebody's monthly obligation towards the mortgage, towards owning that home. In Portland, it is 5.9% of that total price. Obviously, Portland's average home price of $522,000 versus the nationwide average of $360,000 has something to do with that. But if you compare the differences, Portland is still paying a little bit less insurance when it comes to a nationwide ratio of insurance to home price value. But nonetheless, you can see that that has spiked and created buyers that are a lot more wary of what it takes to come into a home when you're counting insurance costs as well. One thing that I make sure buyers are aware of when they're purchasing a home is making sure that they're shopping insurance, because even the insurance terrain has shifted massively in 2025. And so make sure you're shopping and looking for the right insurance package for the home that you're looking to purchase. And an interesting thing to know about interest rates is that they're coming back into a normal or expected number range. If you're looking at the all-time interest rates, it still looks like we're fairly low, but depending on how you change this graph around and you come into more of a 10-year, that based on a 10-year, we're still in pretty high interest rates for that amount of time. But if you're looking at a 3-year or even a 1-year, you can see that it's been trending down and unlocking purchase power for buyers. Now, that's to say that there are still people sitting in homes with ultra low interest rates, and interest rates spiking recently, sometimes even into the 7s, can create temporary moments of market activity when rates come down below 6. But it is still a cold headwind for a lot of buyers when they were used to rates in the low 3s or even into the 2s. And another thing to note about interest rates and short sales both is that a lot of buyers have strategically used 1, 2, or 3-year rate buy downs in order to temporarily save on their monthly mortgage payment. The problem with people that aren't educated on what these products do and they use them without actually knowing the long-term effects is that they'll make this purchase thinking that that 1-year or 2-year temporary buy down is their permanent price. And when these temporary relief systems end up lifting, they get into hot water because they're not used to paying the actual 30-year monthly payment of what their set interest rate's at. is one thing that I make sure my buyers are educated on is that they're only using those temporary buy downs to wait out a refi period, but being ready to make that payment when it comes and making sure they're aware of what that amount will be so it's not a surprise. You know, as these 1, 2, and 3 year buy-offs are actually coming due or expiring, we are going to see a little bit more short sales as ill-informed buyers are going to be raising up that red flag and saying, hey, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to have to make a move and find temporary housing that's going to relieve me of this massive monthly payment that I took on. I would definitely make sure that if you're looking into the Portland real estate market that you're well informed when it comes time to pulling that trigger, which is one thing that I pride myself on when it comes to working with clients. I really want to make sure that you feel safe and educated when you're making these choices. So if you're thinking about making the move to Portland, I've actually included that link to this property buying guide in the description down below. A free Google Drive link. You do not need to give me your email, name, or phone number. I do not mind. I know that you're going to give me a call right here when the time is right for you to make the move and have that conversation about what it will take in this very fluctuating market to purchase a home. Okay, enough with the doom and gloom. We're going to go over some green flags now of why buying a home in the Portland area might be the right choice at this particular moment in time. Now, I'm going to use this guy's saying with a grain of salt because I think you need to rephrase the wording or maybe read between the lines of what he actually means. But Warren Buffett said, when others get greedy, be fearful, and when others are fearful, get greedy. Now, like the 1987 movie Wall Street, where he says greed is a good thing, I do not agree with that at all. And I think Warren Buffett agrees that when people are getting greedy, they're making poor choices, short-sighted decisions, and they're doing things that a regular market cannot sustain. But I think we're coming to the end of a market that has blown off some steam from some very greedy decisions that were made. For example, Portland's Big Pink just sold for a cash deal that was well below the purchase price that had happened several years prior. And if you're looking to make a smart and well-educated purchase, not one based off of FOMO or fear, you definitely want to look at all of these signs and say, okay, is now the time to jump into the market? And yes, there are things that are kind of breaking in the system, but these are things that are breaking that are giving buyers that are well-informed some really good deals. One thing to track and notice within these green flags is the affordability index. This affordability index is the bellwether sign of whether or not the average Portland resident can afford the average home. And the good news is that we are slowly inching up to that 100 mark. As you can see, at one point we're at 120, 110, and sustaining that, which is a very healthy market to be in. And when you're in that 100 mark, right now we're in about the 90 to 95. When you hit 100, things are looking a lot better and healthier than when they're dipping below that 80% mark. We're at one of the most affordable points in the market in the last 2 or 3 years. And while I definitely do not hope for home prices to continue streaming ahead, there are some signs that I'm going to tell you coming up that might lead to Portland home prices just not staying put and stagnant where they are. One of the bellwether signs that I use to really reflect this is that I'm working with people relocating to Portland all the time from different states. You know, they're moving to Portland, they're moving to Vancouver, or they're moving to the suburbs like Tigard, Beaverton, Milwaukee, Lake Oswego, or places like Camas or Ridgefield. And in 2024 alone, 92,640 people made a move to Portland. And just over 24,000 of those people, about 26% of that total number, were coming from out of state. And you can actually see between the 2024 and 25 numbers that from 2023, activity has picked up as things have rebounded to some level of normalcy in the Portland area. And what that means is that the sustained demand for Portland housing is continuing to mount some pressure. Renting is still not affordable when you have to pay 3 times the rent, and people are looking at home purchasing as an alternative to paying very expensive rents in the Portland area. Purchasing a home comes with the locked-in benefit of knowing that your payment is going to stay the same for the next 30 years. And there are tons of signs that Portland is getting ready to do a completely new facelift come 2030. The James Beard public market, which is going to be in high competition with places like Pike's Place in Seattle, are coming to our town and completely reshaping the face of what Portland will look like. But there are also projects coming to renovate the Portland Art Museum, opening up a huge walkway over there, a green belt that wraps all around the east and west side of Portland. There's a huge OMSI renovation happening. The Lloyd Center is getting a huge facelift, and there's even talks of a Major League Baseball stadium coming to the downtown waterfront where the Zidell shipyards used to be. But not only is Portland proper seeing a facelift, there are suburbs all around Portland that are seeing major improvement plans or projects that have already happened that have created a huge equity boom for people that have invested and put roots into the Portland area. You've already got the downtown Vancouver waterfront, but you've got very similar projects coming or underway in places like Oregon City, Camas, Ridgefield, and massive housing development projects happening on the west side in Beaverton, Aloha, and down in Wilsonville and Tigard. These are huge projects that are going to reshape the face of Portland and make people looking at the market now really wonder, with all the people moving to Portland and its suburbs and these major development projects happening, on top of the affordability rearing its head again, there is a window opening up where a lot of my home buyers are securing deals in areas that fit their needs. And a lot of my buyers are looking in suburbs that have been overlooked or slept on. Stay tuned and subscribe to my channel to go over all these different neighborhoods. I'm posting videos on a weekly basis to go over what it's like to live in the Portland and Vancouver area, and I'm showing you around and giving you my insider knowledge of all of these different pockets. One example is that we did a video on Lake Oswego just last week, but we were able to highlight by talking to the locals the hidden gem that is West Lynn. Not only is it more affordable, but a lot more people are looking to West Lynn as one of the next up-and-coming places in the Portland luxury market. But this is happening all over the Portland area, and it's happening in Vancouver as well. So I'm here to have that conversation with you right here to go over all the different suburbs and neighborhoods that might fit your bill. At the end of the day, Portland is actually a very sprawling area when you look at the map as a whole, and it's allowing a lot of different people with a lot of different lifestyles to be able to pick and choose what their best area is. So definitely jump on a phone call down here or shoot me a text to let me know that you are making that move in 2026. And remember, this free guide is sitting in the description just down below. As always, thanks for watching this video. Watch this video next. I'll see you next week. Oh, this will adjust my back.